Yeah, Fraser became my sort of evil twin or something like that. That thing I was talking about being life and death. To Fraser, everything was life and death. So he was an elevated human being already. He just always lived in a kind of crisis at all times. It was usually a crisis of conscience or a crisis of love, romance. The thing I determined about him when I first read the role of Fraser for Cheers was that he was so in love with Shelley, Diane, that he loved fully. He loved big. He committed his whole being, his whole heart. And that's something I haven't played before, so that's what appealed to me about him. But he was incapable of just loving. He had a fatal flaw, I guess you could call it, where nothing was good enough. And mostly he wasn't good enough, which made him fascinating to play. I think a lot of people feel this way about themselves in life. Maybe only Americans, I don't know. But Fraser what was interesting about keeping the audience's attention in terms of Fraser was the fact that they always knew somehow he was going to mess up. But what became the surprise in each show was how we got there. And that was one thing. When I did, this is a great lesson. Christopher Plummer, Sound of Music, wonderful, extraordinary actor. I did Othello with him. He played Iago, I played Cassio. James Earl Jones played Othello. And when we were rehearsing, Christopher Plummer would always say, Peter Coe was the director, Peter, you got ahead of it. And I'd go, what's he on about? And he would always refer to the audience. And this is the first time, you go to school, you're told it's not about the audience, it's about your performance, and I think that's a load of crap. Don't listen to these people. Christopher Plummer was right. He said the audience, they're ahead of us. And if the audience is ahead of you, this is what I figured out. If the audience is ahead of you, you've lost them. You're bored. They're not engaged anymore because they've already figured out where you're going. And I think that's probably something that served me better than anything else in terms of understanding what my obligation was to the audience. Because it isn't art unless there's somebody watching it. It's just you sitting at home, throwing paint at the screen. So it's an organic response. It's an organic relationship that must be trusting and exciting and organic, and I said that already, didn't I? And vivacious in some way. It has to be energized with sort of love. And I think that's the beauty of both comedy and drama, actually, is that there is this sense underneath that what we're talking about is something about love. William Faulkner spoke in his acceptance speech of the Nobel Prize, and he tried to give advice to the young writer. He said, make sure that whatever you're writing about, it's about love. It's about something important. Because otherwise, you've trivialized your own art, trivialized your own story to tell, and you've bored your audience. Because this is our obligation, is to make it big. Even though Fraser was obsessed about whether or not, a girl liked him for his career on the radio or for the way he wore his shoes, he was obsessed with his character. His search was always about that true, authentic, genuine contact that elevated his life. And I think that's why he remains.